We don't want to make this documentary. We have to.
The current system, what we have right now, doesn't do enough to protect children.
So for a long time, I was really apprehensive about sharing our story. I really felt like our story was kind of hard to believe.
It's just like it's not part of the conversation.
If synthetic dyes are having a small but real effect on the population, which the data seems to suggest they do, that is going to generally lead to a slight increase in attention problems and hyperactivity problems in children. The more of these you have, the more you slightly move the population into a direction where more people are actually having clinical problems.
Any change you want to make, oh no, too costly, oh, the science is bad, those scientists are crazy.
They know it causes cancer, and they still use it today.
People are spending thousands of dollars on prescriptions or medical bills. A lot of that could be fixed with the knowledge about our food.
My kid is having a hard time, but it's not that he had a bad day. He's kind of having a bad life.
We see it time and time again from all the studies. Artificial food dyes have a very negative effect on children's behavior.
There's enough science now to show that these shouldn't be in any products ingested by humans at all.
To look at a 7-year-old who just wants to die. If he continues like this, he won't make it to his teenage years.
The unavoidable fact that they're in so much of our food supply is one thing, but the dirty little secret of what these chemicals are doing to our body is another.
Why would you not let a parent know that to try to avoid these foods? Or industry, take those additives out of the food and nobody has to avoid anything.
It's like those night thoughts that normally you just brush off and you don't think about. When you're on dyes, they get loud. They get to be like, hey, are you sure you want to be alive right now? And it gets really hard to not listen.
It's a small change on average for the population, but it's one that has some long-term consequences.
It's just so crazy how something you don't know about has such a huge effect on behavior. Like all these kids who get labeled as behavior kids, what if it was just dye?
After discovering their children's sensitivity to synthetic dyes, Brandon and Whitney Kaywood, parents turned filmmakers, embarked on a journey to uncover the hidden impact of these additives. Their documentary combines scientific insights and personal stories from affected families, revealing the unseen dangers of synthetic dyes.
And the reason behind making that film was we thought what was going on with him was probably pretty rare. And then I think we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but we started a Facebook group that did really well, and we started to get a lot of feedback of that. There was a lot of people that were experiencing very similar things to what Atreyu was going through. And so that's kind of what led us to be like, okay, maybe this is something that is more common than we realized, but maybe there's people out there who don't really know this is even a thing. Maybe their kids are sensitive to dyes and they have no idea.
Can you imagine like all these kids that get labeled as behavior kids? What if it was just dye? If I had to think back to his life before and after dyes, I mean, it is literally like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I mean, it's night and day. It's been a switch. For me and Rex, a lot of other things have become easier because we took care of this dye situation. I decided to become a mom through using a donor. One of my very best friends donated for me to be able to have my son. Still looking. I'm just kidding. So I became a single parent on purpose. When we started our journey, as mother and son, kind of our two team, I started noticing things about him and reactions when he was about 18 months old.
Our driving force is for people who, might not know this is even a thing. Yeah. Like we feel like we're kind of in a bubble with our film and with like our social media presence, thing like that. So a lot of people have seen the film, already know about it, but we know, like when we go out and to talk to people and start telling them about our film, a lot of people have never heard of this, and so it's encouraging to know that the word is getting out there.
And I think that's key, that the child is empowered and part of the decision instead of just feeling like mom and dad won't let me eat all of these things, because eventually there's going to be pushback unless they actually feel as if the decision is coming from them.
Yeah. Well, and also our film.
I think the younger they are, the easier it is to like instill that mindset.
I think the biggest message I want to get out there to other families of color and other single families is that going dye-free is not an income level thing. And it's not a crunchy yoga mom rich people problem. It is a neurological reaction. Your brain has no color. Your brain has no income level. Just try it. It does require some diligence and it does require some action. But if you do it and you see a difference, can you imagine how much better you and your child's life would be?
We don't want to make this documentary. We have to.